let's take a look at how to make a frequency table and a histogram using a spreadsheet program. So here I have some data on mammals and their longevity in years. So I'm going to copy that. First I'll show you the easy way, and I'll show you the spreadsheet way. So lately I've been using a software called StatKey, which is an online application. And I'm going to use their one quantitative variable. I can either upload a file, if I had one on my computer, or I can edit the existing data. In this case, I'm going to select and delete the data in their set and paste it with the data I copied from mine. So here I have a header row and a first column with identifier information. So I'm going to leave both boxes checked, and I'm going to select OK. Their histogram tool is quite nice. I can choose the number of buckets, that's columns here. Sometimes they're referred to as bins, groups, or categories. So I can increase the number, or I can decrease the number. And finding the right histogram is basically, the idea is to find something that shows something significant to you. So for example, with 9 buckets here, I have a group between 10 and 20, and that shows me the largest category with that particular grouping. That's meaningful. When I change it, now I get a larger category from, I'm not sure what the boundaries are here. Oh, it tells me when I point to it, that. From 14.8 to 21.7. So roughly 15 to 21 has the largest category now. So every time you change the start, the end, and the width of each column, you get a different histogram. In a spreadsheet, in order to make a histogram, you have to make a frequency table first. So to make a frequency table, you have to decide what your buckets are going to look like. And then you also have to count what's in there. That's called frequency. That's how often does something happen. To figure out what my buckets and bins should be, I need to look at the data a little more carefully. So I'm going to move this off to the side for a moment. Not that far, I'm all right there. So what I'd like to know are what's the minimum number here, what's the maximum number, the range is between the min and the max, and that'll help me figure out how to make that. So spreadsheets have formulas for minimum, called min. Highlight your data. There's your parentheses. And similarly, I can do a max. First, start typing. I want max. Select my data. The range is just the min minus the max. Now I could calculate that in my head, but it's always a good use the computer. Also, never type a number that's already on the screen. So instead of typing 70 minus 1, I want to click on the cell where the numbers are located and make formulas that way. Or if anything changes in the data, my calculations change accordingly. I have a range of 69. So maybe I want to have a number of bins, let's say 10. So that means my bin width, my range divided by how many bins I want. So it's 6.9. And to make it easy, I could round to 7. So now as far as the buckets go, get those back over here. The computer just wants to know what's the highest number in each grouping. So I might have a bucket, for example, that goes from 1 to 7. And then the next one would go from 8 to 15. Next one would go from 16 to 23, and so on. Format is all the same. And then I want to count how many of these longevity years are between 1 and 7, how many are between 8 and 15, how many are between 6 and 23. But I want the computer to do that for me. So what I do is set up just the highest number in each category. So 7 and 15, and I'm just going to use the autofill feature to generate further from there. And that just gave me a width of 8. I wanted 7, so I'll make that 14 and do it again. And it's not an exact science deciding what your bin should be. Now I need my buckets or bins to go higher than the max, or at least up to the max. So here I just have up to 70. To have the computer count for you, we want to use the frequency command. So if you're in Google Sheets, it's pretty easy. You just go to that first available cell under frequency, type equal, start typing frequency. And the frequency command wants to know where your data is. So my data is over here. And Excel and other spreadsheets behave similarly. Then it wants to know what my classes are. Well, those are my buckets or bins. So then I say my classes are over here. And then I hit enter, and it calculates one more than I need. Now if I were doing this in Excel, like Excel or numbers on a Mac, what you first want to do is click in the starting frequency cell and then highlight all cells adjacent to the buckets plus 1. Again, this is the instructions for Excel or numbers on a Mac. And then start typing equals frequency. On Excel, you would want to hit Tab to complete that. Like before, highlight the data. Comma, and then highlight your classes, buckets, or bins, whatever you're calling them. And then the trick here is if you're on a Windows computer, you're going to hit Control-Shift-Enter. If you just hit Enter, it will only give you the first frequency. So Control-Shift-Enter. If you're on a Mac, it's Command-Shift-Enter. And then it will fill out all of the frequencies. So that gives you a frequency table. Cool thing about the way I set this up is if I pick a width that's less than 7, I'm not going to have as many buckets. Or sorry, greater than 7, I'm not going to have as many buckets. So for example, if I switched it to 10, so maybe I'd make that one 10 and this one 20, notice they're automatically adjusting the count. And so here I get to 70 much sooner. And so my frequency, I don't have as many rows to deal with. And again, automatically adjusts. The problem is if I try to make a width smaller than 6.9, then it's going to require more rows than I have currently set up. And so I'd have to redo the frequency count. So if I wanted to go to 5 here, 5, 10, 20, highlight that pattern, fill it down. I have farther to go to get my frequency where it needs to be. So I'm going to have to redo the frequency. So I might as well delete these and start over. So on Windows computers and Macs, you want to highlight one more cell. Don't click after you highlight, just start typing the frequency. Highlight your data. Comma, highlight your buckets, close your parentheses, and then Control-Shift-Enter in Windows, Command-Shift-Enter on Mac, and then you get all your frequencies there. So what I've just created here is a frequency table. Now, one problem is the buckets are kind of misleading, so if I were to create a graph of this, and I want a bar chart, column chart, and I'm going to make a note that column 1 has labels. It's hard to tell what's in each column, and so usually what you want to do is make human readable bins when you make a spreadsheet, or a histogram, which is just the graph of a frequency distribution. You need a human readable bins. So if I decided I like the look of that one, that these are good buckets graphically, then what I want to do is insert a column to the left here. I'm going to make my human readable classes. I'm going to call them years this time. And this one right here is from 0 to 5. the next one, since those are whole numbers, would be from 6 to 10. No problem, just treated that as a date, so we want to undo that. Format, oops, that did not go well. Format, this is just text. No. So whenever you type something like a number dash another number, if the computer thinks it looks like a date, it's going to treat it like one, which can be a problem when I try to display my graph. So what's next? 11 to 15. Again, that is a date. So we have to change the format to text. And after that, we should be good. And here you can't automatically fill, you just have to type each of these in. So when you're trying to make a frequency distribution into a histogram, play around with a bunch of different frequency distribution tables, look at their graphs, decide which one is appealing to you for whatever reason you come up with. Once you have that, then make a new column with the year so you can make a proper frequency distribution that will mean something to other people, because you want to have a decent labeling system on the horizontal axis. So let me just finish this. 21, 25, 26, 30, 31, 35, 36 to 40, 41 to 45, 46 to 50, getting there, 51 to 55, 56 to 60, 61 to 65, wrong order, and 66 to 70. So now I can highlight each of those, make a chart, and so this time I have more accurate labels as to what each column means. And in Sheets, I would want to customize that by adding some relevant titles. So my main title might be Mammal Longevity. I also want a horizontal axis, Years Longevity. Years. Vertical title, number, maybe. So now I have a meaningful title for the graph. I have a label for what the count on the side means, and a label for what the horizontal axis means, and relevant numbers for each column. Here I have a legend. Don't need a legend here because there's only one color. So as far as legend goes, I can turn that off. And so here I have a good looking graph to go with my data. Again, in most spreadsheets like Microsoft Excel and Max Numbers and OpenOffice Calc, in order to get a histogram, you have to first make a frequency distribution. Frequency distribution on a spreadsheet requires you first to make a list of maximum numbers for each category in a row, and then the computer can use the frequency command to count what numbers are up to that. And so in the next row, it would be up to 10, but greater than 5, up to 15, but greater than 10, and so on. Once you decide that you have a reasonably good-looking graph, and again, there's no objective way to do that. It's totally subjective. It's a matter of what looks good to you, what does the graph tell you. Then you want to make human-readable labels so that you can make a better-looking chart. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Good luck with your frequency distributions and histograms and spreadsheets.